All right, everybody, welcome to our NFL bets. We're going to keep this really quick and just go through all the week's games and give a little snapshot of how we're seeing the game. And we're going to talk mostly about the spread here. So just like, if you're new to NFL bets, if it's minus 2.5, that means that the team is handicapped, so to speak, and they need to get 3 points to win the bet, like win by 3 or more points to have you win your bet. So to start off, that example was exactly what's going on with the Bills versus the Rams. The Bills are favored by 2.5 points, and I think this is a really tough one to call without picking your winner. So I'm going to say that the Bills managed to win this game, so they cover.
My initial thought was Bills, but there's got. I'll say this is not a game I'd want to bet money on. I'll say Rams just because they're home, although Stafford's arm is a question.
The next one is the Saints versus the Falcons. The Saints are favored by 5.5 points. I think the Falcons are going to be bad. So I am liking the idea of the Saints covering, and apparently a lot of people do. 61% of people are picking them to cover.
This is one I'm going to throw out something interesting here. Mariota, I do wonder if just Tennessee was just a bad situation. I will say the Falcons at least prevent the Saints from covering.
Nice. The over-under on this is 42.5. I could see it going over.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to make a bet on a game, I think I would probably do this for the Falcons. The Saints are a weird team for me. I'm not sure if they just have a lot of question marks. And I'm not convinced that Jameis is like the quarterback answer. I know their roster's like okay, but like I don't know. Falcons maybe. I would take the upset.
Being down on the Saints made me a lot of money last year. So I get it. All right, guys, let's talk about the next one. Cleveland Browns versus the Panthers. This game is clearly an interesting one. The Panthers are favored by 1.5 points. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to let you guys open up first. I'm still gathering my thoughts.
I think the Browns will have the inside track to know how to stop Baker Mayfield. I would easily take the Browns, better defense, run the clock out. I'm taking Cleveland.
I think it's the Baker Mayfield revenge tour. I gotta go Panthers. I don't know. I mean, like depends on how you feel about them, but like I just love that storyline too much with what the Browns have done. Like I'm gonna pick him, even though the Panthers overall are just like not a good team, and Matt Rule is not the answer. But I'll just say Baker. He wills this one to win.
I think that's fair, and I think the Panthers are at home, so that means like if you assume the 3 points are given to them for the home, that means that they think the Browns are a better team, but because of the home field, they're going to give it to the Panthers. I think though that the revenge game narrative really gets me going, and I like the idea of the Panthers being better this year with a more competent quarterback play. So yeah, let's put it to them. Go with the Panthers. Next up, the Bears against the 49ers, probably the first action we'll see of Trey Lance this year. I mean, he played a little bit last year, but not too much. So, I'm going to say that the 49ers do cover this. I think they're going to cover the 6.5 and manage to make a big win, big statement.
It's really easy to forget that the San Francisco went all the way to NFC Championship game last year and gave the Rams a run for their money. I'll take San Francisco to cover.
Next up, we got the Steelers going to the Bengals, divisional game, but really interesting spread, 6.5 points for the Bengals. AFC champion Bengals. Not the Super Bowl losers this time. AFC champion Bengals. I don't know. That's the other thing. We're doing it like live. Like I'm seeing this for the first time. Get kind of our impressions of the line. That seems tighter than I think it might be, but I guess they have the home field part, and they are like pretty good, and you got interesting quarterback situation. I feel like this is a closer game though. Like, oh, this is tough. Over under of 44.5. I think it hits the under. I'm going to say the game hits the under, and that's why the Bengals don't cover. I think they win, but don't cover.
This is another game that I will not be putting money on. But you know what? I'll say that the Bengals cover simply because I believe the Steelers will be better than a lot of people think they will be this year. But you got to remember, even in the years when the Steelers are good, they start the season out slow. There's been multiple years, at least 1 year, probably more years than that, when they started out 0-3 and still made the playoffs. I'm not a believer that Trubisky is the guy. I think we'll see Kenny Pickett sooner than later. I'll give the Bengals this one to cover.
Yeah, it's a good point. I was about to say the same thing. I like the Bengals in the week 1 matchup. I think the Steelers are going to take longer to kind of hit their stride.
Yeah, I clicked it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to publish these picks yet. I'm feeling I might change my tune. Maybe I'll post a short if I change my tune on any of these. I don't know. This is tough. This is really interesting.
We should also, I don't know if we've said it before, but Alec did a full season of actually trying to do this. Chris and I are just, this is our introduction to this.
Right. And that's the thing. Last year, I was like off to a pretty strong start. I felt like the beginning of the year was like the time to figure out the narratives and figure out to get ahead of the books. And because I had like a mid-season lull where I was like, dang, I'm not figuring this out. Like I started getting back on top. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is a little bit earlier in the week than I normally do it, so maybe that's why. We're recording on a Tuesday. Normally we did these on Wednesdays, but I don't know. We'll see. I didn't give it much thought last year though. That was one part of my secret strategy. It was just like do it on feel. Eagles versus the Lions. 4.5 point favorite for the Eagles going to the Lions. I think I'm high on the Lions this year, but I do think the Eagles have a good roster and are going to be able to cover this away. I think that I like the Eagles pick here a lot. This could be actually my lock of the week, even though I'm high on the Detroit Lions. That's another thing I used to do, the lock of the week. And looking at it, all right, 71% of people agree with me going with the Eagles here to cover their 4.5 points. So I guess it's not that particularly bold of a lock, but I think that might be my lock of the week.
I agree the Lions are interesting this year, but have they made enough improvements on defense to slow down, at least the rushing ability of Jalen Hurts, whether or not his passing is on that game. They got A.J. Brown in that offense now too. Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith. Feels like a little too much for the Lions defense to handle. Maybe they can keep it close offensively, but yeah, I think that I would feel pretty good about taking the Eagles to cover there.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same. I think Detroit had a lot more, pieces on defense, but I don't think they're the ones that win you the spread here.
Let's see the next one. The next one's the Colts versus the Texans divisional game. Colts are favored 6.5 points going to the Texans. So, interesting thing I'll bring up is when me and Jason did this last year. Jason from Huddle It Up Films, go check him out on YouTube as well. He did not like picking big spreads like this in divisional games. He thinks divisional games are typically closer. I never really took that as well. Like I didn't really add that to my philosophy. I think the Colts are going to be pretty good this year. I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with Matt Ryan. Excited to see how this defense is able to step up and play this year. But I also think the Texans won't be nearly as bad as they have, but they're still definitely rebuilding. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say the Colts cover, but I'm not loving it.
Which is exactly why I will be taking the Texans to at least keep it closer than that spread. I feel like I'm the one person in the world who does not believe that the Colts will be better with Matt Ryan than Carson Wentz. Well, let's put it this way. Maybe they'll be better, but still not significantly enough. But I mean, their defense is good. And Houston's offense, they were a little tricky down the stretch last year. So and especially since this game is in Houston, I'm fine taking the Texans in this one.
I think the 0.5 here is might get us. It could be a 6-point game, and like there you go, you lose it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The 0.5 might be what gets you. All right, the next one is the New England Patriots going to the Dolphins. Dolphins are a 3.5-point favorite. I think the Dolphins run away with this one. I'm buying into the Dolphins narrative this year, and I think that they will beat the Patriots pretty well. I know it's a divisional game, but I like the Dolphins here. I think they cover, and maybe that might be my new lock almost. New lock, because I'm seeing them live. It's hard to have like a pre-lock, but I don't know. It's not as strong of a lock, maybe, but it's up there. Maybe lock 2, lock B.
Interesting stat that I did see today is that apparently New England, over the past 9 seasons, only 2 wins in Miami. That goes back to Tom Brady days. Only 2 wins over the past 9 seasons in Miami. That is crazy. I did see a headline. I didn't get a chance to read the article that the Patriots are aware of this and they're apparently mixing up their travel schedule to try and combat that. Who the heck knows if that's going to work?
It's too much. Latitudinal change.
You know, I mean, we saw the Ravens. They had trouble. They've had trouble in Florida before. You know, 2011, that unexpected dud of a game against a not good Jacksonville team. You know, and obviously last year's game in Miami. Yeah. So it could be that just you're north and you're just the humidity's gone, but you know, you're not used to it, and then you're back full in it. But you know, as I said in their season preview episode, I am high on the Patriots this year, but you look at that record and it really makes you want to go Dolphins, but not enough for me. I think the Patriots can at least prevent the Dolphins from covering. Maybe it's like a game like 20-18 Dolphins win, something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think the Dolphins are the hot pick here. I don't know. I'm kind of with Alec. I think I might. I think I'm going to take the Dolphins on this one.
Interesting. That's all really interesting. And Peter, I love that you went into a little bit of a history corner. The tease, if you haven't seen the episode about the Jets, Peter's going to be doing a little bit of history on this channel. So definitely pay attention to that. I'm looking forward to the first one about the Ravens playing old quarterbacks that used to be on the Ravens.
That one is going to be interesting. And I did have to do some actual research for that one rather than that was a factoid I just saw while scrolling through Twitter. So.
All right, guys. Well, we kind of talked about this one in the Jets preview, but Ravens versus Jets, are they going to cover? I'm saying yes, they're going to cover. 6.5 points, over under 44.5. I think they cover the spread, and let's see. They do not cover. Yeah, they don't cover the over under. Was my prediction for what I said in this score.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets here to prevent the cover. I don't know what's the word you want to say here for where the favorite wins, but they don't.
The Jets cover their spread. So yeah,
the Jets cover their spread. That's what they do. As we said in the episode, I think the Ravens win it, but like we said, with the probability of a conservative game plan, and also just looking at the fact that let's not forget the last time the Ravens were on the field, they weren't blowing out anybody. Gosh, they needed Justin Tucker to literally rock NFL history to beat the Lions, who wouldn't win a game till like week 12 or whatever. So, I would feel more comfortable taking the Jets to cover here in this game, although I do think the Ravens still have a good chance of winning it.
Same per the game preview episode. I think my score prediction kind of assumes that the Jets are going to cover. So,
yeah, that's right. Oh God, this is the stinker. Here we go. We got the Jaguars visiting the Washington Commanders. The spread is 2.5 point favorite to the Commanders, and my motto last year was when trash plays trash, take the points. So Jacksonville covers. They might even win this game.
I mean, sounds good to me. One other thing may or may not matter. Obviously, Pedersen is in Jacksonville now, so he knows Wentz inside and out. Have no idea if that'll give the Jaguars an edge up on defense or not. I mean, quite frankly, they might not even need an edge up to beat Carson Wentz. So certainly not a pick you're going to feel great about, but I'll take Jacksonville. And I guess I have to take Jacksonville since I'm all in on Trevor Lawrence. So
here we go again.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I was out of the two quarterbacks. I think I'd take Lawrence over Wentz. You said it best, Alec. It's trash on trash. I wouldn't bet on this one.
All right. Well, this seems like a high-flying game. The Chiefs are going to the Cardinals. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5 points. Wow, 70% of people are picking the Chiefs to cover. I'm gonna say the Cardinals keep it close. I think they keep it competitive. So I know a lot of things are going on over there. It's kind of a weird spot, but give me the Cardinals covering.
This is a tough one. You know, we're going to see Patrick Mahomes, no Tyreek Hill, Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's you got to look at that. You look at the talent on both those offenses, and I think that spread's too big. I think you got to take the Cardinals to cover that, especially because they're at home.
All I'll say is if Hollywood Brown doesn't get another speeding ticket, he's going to own this game. Cardinals.
Nice. All right. Another divisional game. You have the Raiders going to the Chargers. 3.5 point favorite are the Chargers. That surprises me. I feel like they should be a bigger favorite against the Raiders. Even at home, it suggests they're only like a half point better. I'm going to definitely take the Chargers here to cover. 66% of people agree, apparently.
Yeah, I'm going to take the opposite. I think that the Chargers are the better team, but we did see last year, that crazy game to end the season. The Raiders won that game, didn't they? That's how they got in the playoffs.
Oh, that game was insane. They did win it, yes.
Yeah.
There was like the weird handshake that was going on, and then the handshake seemed to be betrayed, and then because if they just tied, like they both made it, right? So yeah, crazy.
Now the Raiders did lose by 2 touchdowns to them earlier in the season, week 4. But I'm interested to see what Devontae Adams does for the Raiders. I think I would take the Raiders to cover here. Again, not a game, though, that I would feel terribly comfortable betting on.
All right, guys, this is insane. And Chris, you can definitely follow up with this if you have something on it. But the over-under is 52.5. That's a very high over-under. So, suggests like a high-scoring game. And 88% of people think it's going to go over. I don't know. Like, I feel like that it's week 1. Like, that's kind of crazy to be like that so many people are on the over there.
Yeah, I mean, but the Raiders did add a lot of pieces on offense, so I mean, there's reason to believe that they could be really good this year. Devontae Adams being like the big pickup over from Green Bay, but I'll take the Raiders. I don't know. The Chargers, one of those teams that just I'm not super in love with. I know that they can put up points when they need to, but then other times they're just kind of duds. I'll pick the Raiders.
Wow, here's a gross divisional game. The Packers against the Vikings, going to the Vikings. Vikings are favored. Oh, no, they're not favored. I'm sorry. The Packers are favored, 1.5 points. Yeah, I'm taking the Packers here. I think that's a very surprisingly tight line, and I don't think it's going to be so close that the Vikings can cover and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Packers here pretty confidently.
Going to take the Vikings. I just don't know if I believe in Aaron Rodgers without a big-time wide receiver.
I don't either, but I don't believe in Kirk Cousins, even with big-time wide receivers. And maybe that's my downfall.
Yeah. This is another tough one to pick, and that's why the spread's so close.
Well, and Aaron Rodgers came out and played a total stinker week 1 last time. So, yeah.
That's true. He did.
Yeah.
The Saints, we were talking about the Saints. They won huge in that game, didn't they? That was the upset of the week.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a tough one, playing at home for the Vikings. All right. Well, what do you think, Chris? Do you have a thought on this one?
I can't even remember who took the coaching job over at Minnesota, but I'm blank on the name right now. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the Packers just mainly from the continuity. I mean, the other thing is, Rodgers may put up a little bit of a stinker, but their defense is still pretty good. I'd pick the Packers here. I do agree. I feel like the line is a little close for this game. Like, I know the Vikings do have some talent on the offensive side, but
some talent.
I mean, they do have a lot of talent on offense except for their quarterback, right? But I mean, I guess he's serviceable. I don't know, man. This is tough.
I think it's some, but
let's see this. Oh, here we go. This is another fun one. Giants versus the Titans. Titans are favored by 5.5 points. I'm taking the Giants, dude. I think the Titans are going to regress like real hardcore this year, and they're not going to be. They were the 1 seed last year, which is like really hard to believe. They were kind of like one of the worst 1 seeds ever. And I don't even think the Giants are going to be particularly great this year, but I don't believe in the Titans being that good this year. I think the Giants can keep it close.
Interesting. I have a similar thought process, but I think you think a little bit more of the Giants than I do, I guess. I think that the Titans
I don't think very highly of them.
I think the Titans
I
agree with you. I don't think the Titans are going to do nearly as good as they did last season. They might even struggle to get a winning record, but I think that they're good enough to handle the Giants no problem, especially at home.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I do think the spread is rather large. I think the Titans might still end up winning, but I think the Giants will cover.
All right. So now we're talking about primetime games, Sunday night football. Buccaneers visit the Cowboys. The Bucs are a 2.5-point favorite. My initial reaction is to take the Cowboys covering, but it's not that many points. So I'm basically saying the Cowboys are going to win. And I don't know if I feel like that's going to happen either. So 74% of people are taking the Buccaneers. I'm going to go contrarian. I'm going to say that the Cowboys do find a way to cover. Maybe this is a little bit of chaos.
Whether or not you like it, betting for Tom Brady can make you a lot of money. I'll go Bucs.
Oh gosh, you had to say that, Peter. Oh man, no, I don't know what to do. Yeah, no, that's a good point though. I don't know. Every fiber of my being wants to be like, no, don't do that because like he didn't play in preseason. He doesn't have an offensive line, but you're right. I don't like the Cowboys
have
that much.
Offensive line issues too.
I know. I don't like the Cowboys that much either. I'll go Bucs too.
All good points. Yeah, that's a tough one. And last game of the slate, Monday night, which is crazy. We're talking about Monday night game on a Tuesday the week before, but here we are. The Broncos go and visit the Seahawks, the revenge game of Russell Wilson, 6.5-point favorites. Yeah, they're gonna cover. I'm all about the Broncos here.
Lock of the week, Broncos.
Yeah, 80% of people are picking the Broncos on this one. The money line's 96%. It's egregious. Like, I don't think anything's that high.
Yeah. I'm not going to break with you guys. Broncos.
Oh, actually, there's one higher. The Ravens beating the Jets is at 98%.
Oh, shoot, on the spread? Not just the money line?
No, I'm saying on the money line.
Oh, just on the money line.
Yeah, I was saying on the money line. I was like, oh,
spread's still pretty high, too, 88%.
And the Bengals beating the Steelers is at 98%. That's actually pretty surprising. I feel like there's some money to be made there. But, interesting. Well, cool. That was fun, guys. I think we'll be improving on this format and tightening up as we go, but this is like our first time going through it, and we appreciate you guys watching. Let us know what you think we got right, what we got wrong, and what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next week.